My name is Teacher Nikki, and I am from iTutorGroup, and today we're going to talk about some teaching techniques, specifically about TPR and using props. Let's begin. Now, TPR, from the word itself, response. We are trying to get a response from our students, meaning once you use these gestures, you should be able to get a response from your student. They should either be answering your question or parroting or copying what you are saying. So, for example, I could say, "What do you see?" I see an apple. Now, from that example, I actually used two types of TPR. We have number one, instructional TPR. Instructional TPR, pointing at your mouth if you want the student to say something, apple, and cupping your ear if you want the student to repeat or respond. And that's instructional TPR. Now, instructional TPR is something that's pretty universal. The students recognize it, okay? And the teachers know it, and it's pretty universal. We all do the same thing, pointing at your mouth and cupping at your ear. Now, number two, educational TPR. Educational TPR, as an example, what do you see? What is your name? How old are you? So as you can see, educational TPR, these are the gestures that we do in order for our students to understand specific sentence patterns or specific questions or even vocabulary words such as jump. So educational TPR can vary from teacher to teacher, but the key thing is you need to be consistent with your educational TPR. Now, in order for you to be successful with using TPR in your classroom, you need to be consistent. The key thing is to be consistent with your educational TPR and instructional TPR. And you need to use the combination of both types of TPR. So, for example, you can say, "What do you see?" So that's a combination of educational TPR and instructional TPR. Now, let's say, for example, your student can't respond. You can say, "What do you see?" Cup your ear, and then you can assist your student. "I see an apple." Okay, so that's TPR. Now, another thing that you need to remember, on top of using TPR, you need to make sure that you are speaking in a much slower pace. Maybe between slow and normal, or maybe a little bit slower if you have a beginner student who has zero English knowledge. It's really important to adjust your speaking pace depending on your student's learning ability and depending on your student's level. Think about it. If you're learning how to speak Mandarin, and for example, you're a beginner level and your professor starts speaking to you in Mandarin really, really fast, even if your professor or even if your teacher uses TPR along with those words, you're going to be like, "What?" So it's the same thing with our students. So it's very, very important that you are mindful of your speaking pace. All right, so another helpful tip in order to make sure that you will have a successful class, use props. For example, you can use stuffed toys. You can use stuffed toys for role playing. Another prop that I love so much, I love my Etch and Sketch. So I don't really have a whiteboard or a blackboard, but I have this Etch and Sketch. I love it so much because it's easier to give instructions to your students. So for example, if you want them to circle, you can say circle. Circle. So instead of you trying to over-explain everything using so many words, you're just showing it to your student. So basically, you're using a prop plus modeling. And you see, I'm using a combination of different techniques again. Or you can say, "Nikki, draw." So again, I'm modeling and I'm using a prop in order for the student to see what exactly I want them to do. Okay. Another prop that I love is my silly faces. Okay, I have this magnetic silly faces. Okay, and I love it so much because I can use this as a reward system, and I can also use it for teaching the parts of the face. So as a reward system, I can say, if you do a good job, we will make a face. Or I can just use this to teach the parts of the face, like eyes, nose, and mouth. Right? I also love my finger puppets. And these finger puppets, I actually got this from Amazon, and I love them so much because I could use this for role playing. I could also use it for teaching he, she. So for example, he, she, we, they. So there's so many things that you can do with props. But here's the thing, guys. The bottom line is you need to use everything, all these techniques, the combination of all these techniques in order for you to successfully teach your class. So basically, you just have to bear in mind that you will not have the same exact student every single time. You will have students who are quick learners. You will also have students who are slow learners. But you have to make sure that you're gauging their learning ability based on the introduction. And from there, you could get a feel of how they are in class. And you could tweak these teaching techniques in order for you to deliver a successful class. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.